it's Alistair again. It's like the third video I made, I think. I don't know why you guys keep watching this. Shout out to Claw for watching this and being my #1 supporter. I love you. But, starting off with this drawing, obviously I'm gonna name all the characters within it. We have Mateo on the left, another small figure, Izzy on the right, and then the very big figure in the middle would be Jezebel. I want to assume people who watch this are just my friends, so they don't really know who these characters are. But I digress, you know? So starting off with Jezebel in the middle, you can see there's a lot of religious connotations with the inspiration of the cross and a rosary in her hand and her hands being clasped together in a prayer pose. You could just see like she's a leader in a cult or she has some connections to religion. And that is true. She's a leader. She's the big head of this cult that I've created in my story. And she's just supposed to be an intimidating, scary looking character because she's a little bit unhinged of a character. If you could see through her look, she has very harsh character features to her. Her bangs are very jagged and sharp. Her teeth are sharp as well. They curl inwards. There's a lot of triangles in her design. There's like not a lot of curve to her besides her hair. It's kind of just supposed to be like a dark void of the character she is. A void of morality and empathy because she isn't particularly a good character. She's not bad, but she isn't good. And that's the one thing about her. She doesn't look trusting. She doesn't look motherly. She looks authoritarian. She's larger than the others. She's towering over the twins, you know? Starting off on the right now, we have Izzy. She is fitted in very flowy, bright colors, in blues and purples. They have florals on them, they have stripes. It looks very fun and happy and kind of open. Her arm is like over her other arm in a kind of soothing but unknowing pose. She doesn't know the rest. She's looking back at her brother, wishing that he was here and hoping that he would look back at her. She's worried about her brother. She loves her brother, Mateo, and you know, her hair is braided nicely in a neat little French braid. She looks more well put together and more well, if you will. Not to mention, she's physically glowing. She is in an unachievable standard in Jezebel's eyes. She's like a golden child, literally and physically. Her hair is gold, and she also just has the mentality that Jezebel gave her. Meanwhile, Mateo was raised to think that he couldn't be nothing more than a bodyguard, and that's why in his language it's very closed off. It's very layered, if you will. His turtleneck covers his neck. He's very baggy clothes. Like his arms crossed. He's not even looking back at Izzy. He's just embodying anger. He's a bitter person, if you will. They're both two sides of the same coin of being exploited by the same person, but they experience it differently. Izzy would run back to her tormentor and abuser willingly because that's all she knew, while Mateo would rather move on. Two of the twins cannot live without each other, but together they will ruin each other. Mateo has no authority over his own body sometimes because that's how he was raised, and the second he gets it, Izzy feels miserable. They physically cannot. If one is happy, the other one will suffer, and as the one thing about them, they truly cannot be happy in the same situation. And that's why they both look equally miserable, even though one might have the better life, if you will. And Izzy is looking back at her brother, and Mateo isn't. Meanwhile, Jezebel's eyes are all over her, and she could care less about Mateo. He could do anything and she wouldn't care. The whole point of their relationship is that Jezebel is filling a hole within herself that Izzy fills, and Mateo doesn't. And Izzy just wants her brother, and Mateo just thinks that she would be better off without him. And he would be better off without her, since his entire life he was simply a lapdog, if you will, to her, and he didn't have autonomy over him. And he was simply raised to just be her guard, in a way. It's a very sad outlook that they both have, that they can't be without each other, but they do need each other at the end.